This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Tara Sutphen is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives and Soul Agreements. 3 audio CD series, metaphysical meditations, sourcing series, and sleep programming. Tara has also collaborated with Emmy Award-winning Shane Stanley and Marla Maples on numerous DVDs. Tara Sutphen is a master in the psychic sciences. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen, and happy Friday the 13th. That is a fun day. I believe it's the day of gifts and surprises. And today, my guest is Steve G. Jones, and he's a great surprise and a fun friend in my life. We met on the set of Millionaire Matchmaker. I got to hypnotize the hypnotist. And so we've been friends ever since. And we had to keep we had kind of signed our lives away, on not being able to talk about the show for a while there, 6 months or something. And it was really hard not to talk about Steve, because Steve is really innovative in the field of hypnotism, and we'd love to talk about the subject. So welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you, Tara. Good to be here, and great to be working with you again.
Yeah. We the last time I saw Steve, we were it was Halloween.
That's right. Halloween, and it was in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just had a great time. Patty came out. It was actually just Steve and I going to have lunch, and I had mentioned to Patty that Steve was in town, and so Patty Stanger, the Millionaire Matchmaker, she said, "Oh, I want to come too," and so we had a day of, we decided to channel and talk and do psychic readings since it was Halloween.
That's right. It was awesome. We had that was my first time actually tuning into that, and with everyone there kind of guiding me, I was able to, I don't know, kind of get initiated into the whole channeling concept.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it was, with me and Patty, because it definitely was fun. And
yeah, you guys are great. I mean, the synergy there and the guidance you both offered is just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And I know the show was really fun, and so hopefully it's been really great for you too.
Oh, it's been outstanding. Yeah, the Millionaire Matchmaker, that was great, and it led to a lot of other wonderful things, and of course, getting to know you a little better, and this. So it's led to a lot of opportunities and great things.
Yeah. So now, how did you become interested in hypnosis? What attracted you?
Well, initially I was in high school. I was kind of a bad kid. My parents didn't really know what to do with me, so they sent me to military school. So I almost failed 9th grade. So they thought, well, that's not going to happen anymore. So 10th grade, I was sent to military school, Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville, Georgia. And I didn't want to be there. I wanted to escape. So my only escape was doing things such as hypnosis and astral projection. And I got a book on hypnosis by a guy named Leslie LeCron, little paperback book, it's The Complete Guide to Hypnosis. It was anything but complete, but it got me started. And I started kind of really victimizing my roommates who were all there at military school. So I started, having them do silly things. And after a while, I realized I could use my powers for good. So the smart kids started coming to me wanting to study more efficiently with hypnosis, and the athletes come to me wanting to, get more bang for their buck when they exercised, make more out of it, and go longer and faster. So I realized I could use hypnosis for good things, for the smart kids and the athletes. And all these years later, it's really the same thing, except the smart kids are NASA and the athletes are the Dodgers. But it's really the same thing that I was doing as a kid in high school.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so you just really started early, just really wanting to, it's kind of like that mischievous trying to learn something, and then all of a sudden you see, wow, this really works.
Yeah, I was just looking for an escape, and I didn't know it would become a life path.
Yeah, of course, of course. You were just having fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I've done all the modalities that way. All the psychic stuff I ever did, it was just for fun. And then all of a sudden it became a job. It's like,
yeah,
wow, what happened here?
If you're good at it and you help people, then they want to compensate you for it, then you do it some more and keep doing it, and everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody does win. And that's what I love about hypnosis. I'm sure that's what you do too, is that everybody really wins in hypnosis.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm able to make a career out of it, and so are you, and the people who come to us are able to get the help that they want. So it's a win all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you feel that you specialize in these days? What do you feel that people are needing?
Wow, we meaning my company, we're so diverse these days. We've gotten into to all sorts of hypnosis realms. Lately, just for my own entertainment, I've been studying stage hypnosis with some of the top stage hypnotists in the world, just to bring that, to understand that side of things more, and to bring it to people, because on the clinical side of things, when you're helping people lose weight and stop smoking and so forth, you don't get into the entertainment side, which is having people up on stage. And I always thought that it was kind of took away from what we did actually, kind of made it look hokey. Now I realize that there's some fascinating parts of it, which are the speed and the instant inductions that the stage hypnotists do because they're under time pressure. That can be brought to a clinical setting to save a little time with clients. But as far as specializing these days, I would say that I'm specializing in just generally helping people like I've always been, rather than focusing on weight loss or smoking or anything in particular. Just whatever walks in the door next is what I'm up for, what I'm all about.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that I would say that I'm pretty much that way too. I mean, I've been being guided so much to go toward the youth, and I have the psychic teen class, and I have my Alaska project for 700,000 Alaska natives, and then now I've been being brought in for a lot of the armed services and stuff, and I just think, wow, it's just the youth. Yeah, bringing in, create powerful minds within our society so that we can go forward in strength instead of some of this fear that, people get with, all this 2012 silly stuff and all these other, conspiracies that really don't serve mankind. We have to feel like our feet are on the ground, and you got to go forward. There's really no fear. I keep reiterating this to people that really you need to break the fear out of your mind. I mean, that's why we do this hypnosis programming.
I agree. There's always something that the TV's telling us that SARS or bird flu or the year 2000 is going to come, and all the computers are going to crash because they're not prepared for it. Now we've got 2012, and there's always something around the corner that's going to destroy us, or that we should be really scared of. So yeah, we've got our work cut out for us, reprogramming people's minds so that they're not living in fear, and so that they can keep doing what they are doing to the best of their ability. Right.
Yeah, because I really feel that. I don't know about you, but I always think that with the hypnosis CDs, they say with words that you have to see a word 60 times before it's within the student's conscious mind. So you have to write the word, see the word when they're learning spelling. So the bottom line with probably hypnosis is you have to at least hear it, 60 times to really have it permeate your mind as far as to start the programming working.
That makes sense. My dad, if he were still around, would agree with you that as a kid I needed to hear things at least 60 times before they sunk into my head. So I think that's true of people in general, that we really need to be inundated with it.
Right. Well, it sounds like your dad was maybe a little perfectionistic. I mean, sending you off to military school,
That's true. That's true.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah. Bless his heart, as they say. He did the best he could.
Right. And luckily, he brought you around to whereas you might have been a renegade in your own right, but you were bringing it around to make it work for you. That's
true. Well, as a Sagittarius, and you're one too. You know how that goes. You could, that energy. We've got to control it and harness it.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of energy to expand. Yeah, and the knowledge. We're just trying to grasp what's around the corner. Visionaries, really, at all times, and it's harnessing that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And really but we love knowledge.
Right.
You
always
love
striving,
knowledge.
learning.
Yeah,
learning
I
more.
mean, my gosh, your resume, it's just incredible. I went the occult route and you went the academic route. It's really fun. It's fun to read your...
Well, I do have my dad to thank for that. He always pushed education. He told me a bachelor's degree is not enough. And when I got that, he said high school's not enough. Then he said a bachelor's degree is not enough. Then he said a master's degree is not enough. So he just kept raising the bar on me, and that's led to some serious academic credentials, and I thank him for that.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how you had that? Yeah, because he was pushing you a lot. He pushed you from day one, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. He, it's one of those things where he dropped out of school and he didn't achieve what he wanted to. So it's kind of like when the parents want the kids to do the things that they didn't do. So it was one of those situations, and paid off though. Yeah,
definitely, it's great. Yeah, and at the same time, you were always trying to beat the system, because I know that even when I was in high school, I didn't know anything about hypnosis at all, but I knew that the power of the mind basically could, if I was always trying to figure out how I could beat the system. And for me, beating the system, I graduated as a junior in high school, and I went to night school, and I went to I went to school early in Alaska. School started already at 7:00, and I got there at 6:00 in the morning.
Really?
I don't know what I was just an overambitious teenager. And then, I turned around and then got pregnant, and then, married and pregnant when I was a teenager too. And it was just, and then I went to work on the Alaska pipeline. I just have had this life where I thought that I was, trying to always kind of beat the system, but I was always going toward my destiny of this hypnosis field that we're in.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I was an underachieving teenager, almost failed ninth grade, got sent to military school, didn't do well in there. They passed me because it cost so much that the parents, felt like they should get something for their money, so some of the teachers kind of passed the students anyway. So it wasn't until college that I really, turned it up and really started applying myself.
Well, it was when you got to learn what you wanted to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It sounds like you had it a little bit, your dad having that perfectionistic streak. I mean, he was hard at home probably. He wanted you to mind the way he wanted you to be, and he was molding you, and, it was probably a lot of pressure.
There was.
Yeah.
I didn't, I hadn't really thought about it in that way until you mentioned it, actually. So, kind of like Patty was talking about my, kids and former kids, I guess you could say. They're not with me anymore, but they, she brought that into focus for me, how important that was in my life, and now you're bringing out into focus how important my dad's visions and so forth were in my life, and the force he exerted on me and to mold me to some degree. And you're absolutely right. You're right on target.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what you shy away from a little bit, is people who are trying to mold you too heavily, because it's just too much pressure.
I agree. I know what it turns into.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and the Sagittarius spirit doesn't really, it wants to fly. It really doesn't want to be molded into something that it's not.
Right.
That's, I don't think, the purpose of a Sag.
I agree. I'm really not into schedules and rules and all that, and I imagine you have a similar feelings about all that.
You're on Steve time. I'm on Tara time always.
There you go.
People give me a really hard time, but it's really the airports. I can make it to airports really good and really important, like my clients. Of course, I'm always on time, but if it's a social thing, I'm definitely on my own time.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I remember that when we all got together in Los Angeles, you're on your own time, which was not too far off. It wasn't ridiculously off, but it was definitely your own time, and that's respectable. If you, hey, you got to do your own thing.
Well, it's business usually first. I mean, really, like the office or the business, and
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember you guys were all waiting for me.
Then you made your royal entrance. Hey, you could probably be a Leo. A little bit of work, you could be a Leo.
Right. Well, I think I had an astrologer say something that I had like a lot of sun influence, and it was actually Leo. But I don't. It's not really prominent in my astrology chart. But
just every now and then a little bit.
Yeah. And someday I'll have to do your Eastern and Western astrology.
That'd be great.
See where it goes. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, so let's talk about where do you feel that people are most served with saying, like, if they listen to a CD like 60 times, where do you just notice a big jump in people? I mean, where have you kind of noticed things?
I definitely do. A lot of times, because I sell CDs just like you do, and sometimes we don't hear from them again. Somebody buys something, sometimes anonymously even, and we never hear from them again. We don't know what happened. But in many cases, we're able to get feedback because they write an email and they say, "Hey, I had these results. I want you to know this." So what I've found that seems to be consistent with change is that, number one, they need to stick with it. They need to be consistent, as you mentioned. 60 times would be great. And number two, people tend to relapse every now and then. They get on the train, and the train's going in one direction, and they kind of get off at one of the stations, and they think they're going to stay for a little while, and they end up getting on a different train going the opposite direction or somewhere else. In other words, maybe they're on a diet, and they think they're just going to ease off it for a little bit, and the next thing you know, they're back to their old habits. So what really helps is reinforcement down the road, and people need to keep this in mind, that they could potentially go back to the way they were if they're triggered in the right way. Something happens, or they lose someone, or they have a major life change of any kind, or any kind of stress comes in. Sometimes they just haven't been tested. Sometimes when they change their eating habits or change their financial habits or what have you, everything's ideal, and they're in a kind of a bubble, and then something happens, that bubble gets burst, and then they go back. So, number one, repetitive listening is always great. Number two, realizing that when these things do happen, you may need to go back to the recording again just to remind yourself of the track that you are on.
Yeah. Now you can find Steve at stevegjones.com, and that's STEVEG Jones.com. Is there a dot in between after the G or no?
No, it's just stevegjones.com.
Okay. And so you can see what, all the, you have so many. I mean, I read like 4,000. CD programs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we even have more than that. We have closer to 9,000 now. At a certain point, the number got so large, we thought, why would we update it all the time? So we just say over 4,000 recordings. But yeah, they're all there. In fact, there's a free one there. If anyone wants to go, they can get a free recording on building wealth. You'll see it right when you go to stevegjones.com. Just get that. And then after you get that, you'll get an email giving you a 50% off code. So don't buy anything yet. Just go ahead and sign up, get the free recording, get the email with the 50% off code, and then you can do your post-holiday shopping.
Yeah. Well, it's the time of New Year's resolutions. And I definitely want everybody to, be on the mind programming, because I think it's very important. And I think you can mix it up. I know that everybody is a little bored if they just do, my CDs, and, you can mix it up with Steve's, mine, somebody else's, but stay on the right track for at least 60 times. Like if you're going to lose weight, I would do the weight loss then for 60 days. And I know that everybody is, after the holidays, they make a lot of promises and to themselves, and it's really hard to kind of keep with those promises.
Oh, it can be tremendously difficult for people, and the reason is that they feel a lot of stress. They think, well, I have to make a resolution. I have to, and sometimes they've been thinking that they have to change something, and they think, okay, now's the time, January 1st. Now is when everybody's doing it, so I'm going to do it. And so they say they're going to do it, but they don't really have a plan. They just know that they should and they want to, and their friends would like them to, and sometimes it's something that they need to stop. Sometimes people are on drugs, and they say, okay, January 1st, I won't use drugs anymore. But their friends still do, and they might go back to that, and it can just be anything that's pulling them. It doesn't have to be drugs or food or anything. Sometimes it's financial changes, but for them, whatever it is, it's powerful, and it can pull them back. And without a plan to stop whatever it is and to change, people often go right back to where they were, and they just think, well, I guess that's the way I am. And that's not really the way they are. That's the way they become. But with hypnosis recordings or any other type of healing or change modality, it doesn't have to be hypnosis, but with anything like that, at least you have a plan, and you have something to remind you, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be changing the way I spend, or changing the way I eat, or changing the way I interact with the world. And if nothing else, it serves as a reminder that you're on this track. And if you get a CD, you have this thing in your home that you look at, you think, oh, it says weight loss. I guess I'm supposed to be losing weight. Or financial success. I guess I'm supposed to be saving money. So you have these reminders, but they also have powerful messages in them that do allow you to change.
Yeah. No, I just know that with the resolutions that so many people make promises to themselves, and then they're just so disappointed that they can't stay with the program of really sticking with something. And maybe it's just a hopefulness, and we should probably talk upcoming about some of the different, programming that they should maybe work on when it comes to trying to achieve a goal. Because I think that you and I are probably people who easily achieve a goal once we're starting on it. And I do a lot of guinea pig type of hypnosis where I practice. I'll do an MP3 for somebody, and it'd be so kind of off the wall of experimenting that I'll go ahead and I'll keep a copy of that too and do it for a little bit just to see what happens. Because I think it's kind of an interesting concept, but it was, what the client wanted.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I've noticed, and let me know if you've noticed this, like when I have clients come in, they usually come in threes, and it's strange how they're almost always working on things that I'm working on to some degree. If I have a situation in my life that's a challenge, next thing you know, a client walks in the door who has a very similar challenge, so I find myself having to counsel them about it, make a recording for them about it, but really, I find that I'm counseling myself about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you found that?
Well, I think that what I think for you and I is that we are always learning, and we just enjoy learning. Even though you weren't learning, like, say, in high school, you were a rebellious, high schooler. The minute you got to learn what you wanted to learn, you became, truly a student. And so I think that I'm that way too. So if I feel that somebody's working on their career, then I can say, oh, I really need to change mine this way and that way, and I'm always kind of tweaking. And the same thing with my love life or with my health. My health, that's was a great story. A couple of years ago, I wasn't feeling very well, and so I really started working on my health, and boy, bringing it back up is is such a challenge for people. But boy, once you work on it and really put your mind to it, you can bring it really up. And it's great. It's really great.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But, I was really starting to experience some really silly problems. So, digestive stuff.
Yeah, I went through that as well. I had my gallbladder out last year, and I didn't even know what a gallbladder did. But
right.
Next thing you know, they ran these tests and they said it's got to go, and haven't missed it. Apparently, it's an extra part, but yeah, it triggered some digestive things. So I started thinking, well, maybe there's something that I'm doing, in terms of my eating habits. But I eat. I think I eat right. I exercise. Live a very clean life, a very pure life, I think. But I started even raising the bar higher, taking different supplements and so forth, and even watching more carefully what I eat. So these little wake-up calls help along the way.
Yeah, they really do. Well, and for the gallbladder, I always think that any time I eat any fried food, I just drink a little hot lemon water.
Okay.
And, but see, you don't have the gallbladder anymore, but I just thought, just to
I don't even
out
eat
my
fried
gallbladder.
food, so I think that's what it helps in. It helps in breaking down fats and so forth, but I don't even eat fried foods. I mean, I haven't for years, but
yeah.
Sutphen,
you're stuff in trouble, yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Well, you do live in the South, so.
Yeah, maybe just being around fried foods all the time. It permeated my skin.
Yeah, you definitely don't look like you eat it, but but that is fun. Okay, well, I think that we should take a commercial break, and we'll come back in a moment. But
all right.
You're listening to Steve G. Jones, and this is Tara Sutphen, Transformations with Tara.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
Need a platform? Host a show with Contact Talk Radio. Phone 425-649-1112 or email info@contacttalkradio.com. Now you're talking. Did you know that you can rate this show on iTunes? The show you're listening to right now. It's true. You can leave your thoughts about the show, the topic, the guest. You can even leave a suggestion. Then, before you leave, rate the show. The hosts love hearing from you, so next time you download this show from iTunes, leave your thoughts and rate the show, for the host and for others.
Become friends with Contact Talk Radio on Facebook. Log in today and get updates and program information straight to your Facebook newsfeed. Stay on top of the latest and greatest shows, guests, topics, and information with up-to-the-minute information about everything happening on the Contact Talk Radio network. Head over to facebook.com/CTR Network and like us. Help us continue to grow and spread our message across the world today by becoming our friend on Facebook.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Become involved now by calling 877-230-3062.
Welcome back to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen. And my guest is Steve G. Jones, and we've been talking about hypnosis. He's a hypnotist. And I hypnotized him on Millionaire Matchmaker, and it's very fun. Because, when we're in the same field, it was so relaxing, even though it was on TV. It was so relaxing because I just know that he got it. He could do the work, and I could guide him to really experience what he needed to. And so I really appreciated that. That was great. Yeah.
I appreciated it too. It was such a wonderful experience, and having, I've respected you for so long, Tara, and just having a session with you, which I had never had before, was just something I had always, not really, I wouldn't say dreamed about, but it's something in the back of my mind. I thought, well, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be great, if that ever happened? And then it did, and it happened on TV, and it was just a mind-blowing experience, and it really helped me get that much further along the road in what Patty on the Millionaire Matchmaker was working with me on, which was getting in touch with my feelings from the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and as hypnotists, I think we can generally intellectualize our feelings a lot because, we're working on these mind programming at all time, and so, it becomes the super mind instead of the super feelings. Yeah.
That is a risk, and going back and watching the video of that when you were both there and you were hypnotizing me, and Patty afterwards said, "How do you feel?" And I answered with an intellectual answer, and she kept not all of it was taped, but I remember she kept saying that. How do you feel? She's trying to get to my emotions, and I was intellectualizing it. I was saying, well, it was a fascinating experience, and it's quite a bit different than our normal reality, and I wasn't really totally tapping into the feeling part that I got from the session with you, which I really tapped into during the session, but I was still kind of blocking it afterwards. I was still intellectualizing it, which can kind of work against me.
I find that with Patty, she pushes that through. And that's the great thing about Patty. She's such an observer. And, everybody didn't see the whole segment because, of course, hypnosis takes a while. We were under for 45, 50 minutes. And so you can't, of course, for TV, you clip it around. But and in the editing process. But I thought they did a pretty good job of just in the editing process. But I had given the suggestion that Steve would also listen to the sound of Patty's voice, and that when she asked questions, that he would be able to respond to her as well. And so it was really interesting what she comes up with and wants you to push through on. And so it was fun. It's definitely fun working with her that way.
Oh, yeah. I think people underestimate, and not to turn this into the, brag about Patty show, but...
No, but I love her,
we both love her, both big fans of hers, and, I've always thought that it'd be great if she could even, sometime after this in the future, have like more of a therapy type show, where, because she's so precise and so fast at what she does that I think people take it as, her just being brazen and sometimes rude. They think that she's just, because she's so direct and gets it so quickly, they misunderstand that. Mm-hmm. So if they could really get into her head a little bit more and show more of the process, now she can analyze and break down a situation so quickly. And it's too quick for most people to follow along. They just don't get it. And just kind of show how that's done. And I don't know if that's teachable, but I'd really like to just see more of the beauty of that process that she does in an instant, because it's actually a very layered and complex process that she's doing right away. Right.
Yeah, I think that's why we're both fascinated, because we love fascinating. The depth of the mind is, always been my thing. And I think that Patty, she definitely personifies that fact. And, she may not have her life all together sometimes, just like the rest of us. But yet we're all working towards being our best selves. And so it's quite fun.
Yeah, and that makes life interesting. If everybody had everything together, it'd be pretty boring around here. Yeah,
that's for sure. That's for sure. But, I think of all of us as trying to strive for that. It's like, yay. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, now you can find Steve. I want everybody to be able to find Steve. He's at stevegjones.com. And that's not with any dots or anything. It's stevegjones.com. Straightforward.
Right. And speaking of the Millionaire Matchmaker, there's a program on there that all your listeners can get. It's Tapping Into Your Inner Millionaire. You just go there, you'll see the pop-up. All you have to do is enter your email address, and you can get that recording. You can get it right now, and then, of course, you get a a discount code to get 50% off of any of the other recordings. So you get a freebie, and then you get 50% off. So I've taken care of your listeners, Tara.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and and really the mind programming. I know that a lot of people have been really afraid of money. I mean, where have you felt that people were really afraid?
Well, people are afraid in areas that they won't admit that they're afraid, and they don't even know they're afraid. And usually, they're afraid of having something that they don't feel they're worthy of, or something they feel might be taken away from them, or something they feel might cause problems for them. There was a hip hop song about 10 or 12 years ago called "Mo Money, Mo Problems," and that's the way people think. They think if they get more of something, that they're going to have more problems, more challenges in their lives for whatever reason. You know, some people want, and there's so many reasons people get invested in their poverty or their lack of money, or whatever they want to call it, or whatever situation they're in. Sometimes they want the attention. You know, they can say, "Oh, look at me, I'm suffering," and sometimes their friends are in that lack of money state, and they feel that they'll lose rapport with their friends because they can commiserate with them. They can say, "Oh gosh, can you believe the price of gas? Oh yeah, I can't believe it." Whereas if they started doing better, then they wouldn't be able to share that misery with them and share that friendship with them as they look at it. There's so many different payoffs, as Dr. Phil would say, for having a lack of money that it really gets complex. But I think that the main thing is that people feel that there'll be some sort of pain associated with having more money, the pain of loss, or the pain of being looked at differently, or the pain of losing friends, which is also a fear of loss. So unconsciously, people think, "Oh yeah, I'd love to win the lottery. I'd love to be a millionaire. I'd love to have a boat and houses and all this stuff." And subconsciously, there's a thermostat that's watching. And when they get over a certain amount of money, they start to kind of drain that down, either by gambling or making bad investments or giving it away or spending foolishly, and they get back down to where they're comfortable because their thermostat is set for this amount, and they've gone above that, and they don't feel comfortable at that point.
Right. Would you say that's even for weight loss as well?
Oh, absolutely. Weight loss, smoking, health in general. People feel that, if they get too healthy, that, certain things will happen. They won't be able to complain about things anymore. That's a big payoff for people. It sounds kind of strange that people would actually enjoy complaining more than they would enjoy good health, but that's actually a payoff for people and tends to bind them to their other friends who are also not doing well. So yeah, it's true of finances and weight loss and so many other things.
Yeah, because it's a focus. Do you find that it's a focus ability now, like the drugs and alcohol? I mean, how do you feel about that as far as like the payoffs on that? Because there's a lot of it's very hard to bring them back through hypnosis because I believe that they have a focus problem in the first place. Right.
Yeah. And we can look at it on the surface, and we can say, well, someone who's using cocaine, for example, they enjoy the rush it gives them, and that makes sense. It's logical, but it's so much more than that. It goes beyond that. It gets into the fact that they have now a quote-unquote problem. I like to use the word challenge, but most people think of it in terms of a problem. Okay, so if they got rid of this problem, then they wouldn't have that anymore. Then they'd have to look at the other parts of their lives which also need work. Well, isn't it convenient to have this one problem that can be the problem, and nothing else has to get examined? So there's a secondary payoff, and it's hiding this other thing that they could be working on, or this group of things, because it becomes the number one thing, their number one challenge.
Right. So yeah, the number one challenge. So now now sometimes where would you say that number one challenge needs to be reframed? What would be in a reframe, do you feel?
How do you mean that?
Well, like if they're challenging like drinking, what may be the actual reason why they're drinking in the first place? I mean, where do they need to back it up? Where do they need to back up and reframe their lives somewhere?
I think that varies from person to person or patient to patient if we want to look at it clinically. But many times it's well, I'd say in 100% of the cases that I've seen, it's never the presenting problem or presenting challenge, as I like to call it. It's never drinking or drugs or overspending or anything like that. It's always something that's causing that, and then something that's causing the cause of that, and you never know where it's going to back up to, but usually it's something that has to do with low self-esteem. There's usually something that happened to them or a series of things that happened to them that cause them to feel that they need attention or they need a crutch or they need to lower themselves in some way consistently.
Yeah. That, I know it's just a spiral. I know that they're spiraling, and it's usually deeper core issues. And bringing them back into really focus of what that core issue is to alleviate it. And usually what I found when I work with people, that they can start liking themselves again, that they need to feel that they deserve. Because it's really, like you say, it's a self-esteem issue or self-confidence issue, and it's all about their likability.
Right. It is, and that can be so challenging for a therapist of any kind to work with. I mean, talk therapists work with people for 10 years or more, just attempting to get them to like themselves. If the patient could walk in and the person could wave a magic wand and get them to like themselves, that would be it. Everything would be resolved. But that can be quite a challenge. That's why I love hypnosis so much, because when it does work, it works so quickly and so powerfully compared to, 10 years of talk therapy, for example.
Oh, right. And I like the talk therapy with doing the clinical hypnotherapy as well. I really feel that it works. As far as you talk about your problem for a few minutes, we start to rebuild it, reframe it, reprogramming then with the hypnosis. Just exactly what it is that you need to release to go forward in your life. I know that you have many, many success stories. I have many success stories with that as well. But, so you want to share any success stories just recently?
Well, they're happening all the time, thank goodness. I guess with all the recordings and all the people buying recordings, that's kind of a given that there's going to be some success going on somewhere all the time. But I've, let's see, within the last few years, there was a lady named Jen who came to me. She still sticks out in my mind, and she was really overweight. She was probably about 175 pounds over her ideal weight, which is a lot of weight to lose. And she was actually considering suicide. She came in with her mom. Her mom was in tears. They both came in the office. Sometimes that happens. Spouses will come in together, or parents will come in with kids. Or in this situation, Jen was a grown woman, but her mom came in anyway, just wanting to get her the help that she needed. And over the course of some months, that's a lot of weight to lose. You don't want to lose it too quickly, and you always want to work in conjunction with a medical doctor, make sure you have their blessing. But,
absolutely.
Yep. But she was able to lose the amount of weight she wanted to lose, and then she was able to marry the man of her dreams, as she called him, which was he was an architect, and they're happily married now, and they have kids, and this was something that really stuck out in my mind, because the alternative was killing herself. That was her plan. She, when someone's suicidal, we're trained in counseling to always ask, do you have a plan to kill yourself? That's kind of how you know the difference between someone who's just saying it and someone who actually might do it. And then, of course, it has to be reported. But she had a plan, and it had already been reported, and she was actually going to go through with it. And now she's turned it around. She's got the life of her dreams, and she's lost the weight she wanted to lose, and so forth. So it's not even about the weight. It's about the fact that this was a life that was saved. Then she joined her life with another person's life. They got married, and they created other lives, and now they're positively influencing other people by me being able to talk about what Jen created, and by them inspiring their kids and so forth. So it was just the biggest home run win that's ever happened in my career. There have been a lot of of smaller ones, but that's the one that really sticks out in my mind.
Right. Yeah, I keep reminding people because, people will act hopeless when it comes to dating. There's 100, just of Reuters a couple weeks ago, it's 150 million single people in America. And because of the divorce rate and stuff, so there's always hope for that. And plus, there's 7 billion people on the planet now. There's plenty of people that want to be loved. And money, money, always there's change. And I always remind people that the Earth is moving at 66,000 miles an hour anyway through space. And we're only staying on the planet because of gravity. So why don't we expect that change would happen every second anyway? But, but there's some mechanism in our brain that doesn't really like change. But, since we are changing, we need to change for the best. And, and so it is about finding all these opportunities that are coming up. Because I do, like I was saying, the youth, I seem to have the youth and it's just gaining a perspective on the opportunities that are upcoming in the world. It's not allowing ourselves to be, put into any boxes of, that the corporations really, everything will change. I mean, that's the structure of the world. Everything changes. And if you're trying to strive to create a better space for everybody, then it happens. And it just starts with all of us. It starts with the individual. It really doesn't start like even doing community services for somebody else. It starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm completely on board
this
with that.
mind programming. Yeah, and I really think that the mind programming sometimes helps you get out of your own stuckness.
Yes.
Because and this depression that happens with people. They've said like this time is a little bit like the Great Depression, but I find it like more. It's people depressed. It's not necessarily the land isn't depressed. If money's your god, then you may be a little depressed on different areas. But the bottom line is that, depression starts with you and you have to build yourself out of it.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And, it's unfortunate how, people tie their self-worth to their net worth and they really have nothing to do with each other at all. And, it'd be nice to see people tying their self-worth to just realizing that they have the value of one, just like anyone else. They're one human. Everyone's equal, no matter how rich or poor or heavy or thin or whatever. We all have that value, and that's our job, you and I and other therapists, to get people to realize that value. Yeah,
and I feel so fortunate and so fulfilled in my life that I have this work. And I know that you didn't know that you were going toward it when you were growing up, and I definitely didn't know when I was growing up. But here we are.
Here we are. We both arrived at the same point, and that's a good place to be at.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And Steve is on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, so that's pretty fun too.
Right. We got them covered like bookends.
Yeah. And hopefully Steve's over here on the West Coast soon too.
That is the plan.
It would be fun. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really great.
I have to finish my, I'm at Georgia Southern, I have to finish my doctorate, and with any luck, I'll be done at the end of this semester. I'm still a school kid after all these years, finishing my doctorate in education.
Yeah, Mr. Sagittarius always wants to learn.
Always learning, that's right. And I'm thinking of getting the PhD in psychology after that, just to, it's one of those why not things. And people ask me all the time, why don't you have a PhD in psychology? So I think, all right, I can do that.
Yeah. Just with all the schooling that you've done, can't you just combine a few things? See,
that would be nice.
There you go.
So, in the graduate, in the doctoral programs, the classes are so specific. So my graduate classes are all in education, and they just don't transfer to psychology, which is cognitive psychology, which is what I'm interested in. So it would be a few more years, but I'm going to live a few more years anyway, so might as well do something like that.
Yeah. Now, do you find that you tell people to listen primarily at night when they're going to sleep, or when do you tell people to listen to hypnosis?
I do. The hypnosis, we have a lot of subliminal recordings that can be listened to during the daytime while people drive and exercise and so forth. But for the hypnosis recordings, primarily my gold and platinum recordings, gold being 30 minutes, platinum being 60, they're hypnosis recordings. So I suggest people listen to them at night and just let them put you to sleep. And people say, well, I fell asleep. I don't know if it's working. And I always remind them that your subconscious mind is always taking in information. Your ears don't close. Your eyes do, but your ears don't. They stay alert. If you were to hear a noise at night, you'd be alerted. That's because your hearing's always working, so it can always take in things. So, yeah, listen at night and just let it put you to sleep.
Good. Yeah, so again, that's 60 times at least. Because, a lot of people will tell me, oh, I only listened to the CD twice, and then I decided I couldn't do it anymore. I don't have time. Yeah. Well, you do have time when you're going to sleep.
Right. Let it put you to sleep. My voice gets very boring when I talk in monotone because I talk like, now you're relaxing more and more. Very boring, very monotone, and it acts as a sleep aid. It knocks you right out. Plus, you get to lose weight or make money or whatever it is you want to work on.
Yeah. Now, so you're in Las Vegas and you're teaching stage hypnosis, right? Or learning stage hypnosis. What is that?
What I'm doing now is I'm learning stage hypnosis from some of the top headliners in the world. They all perform here in Las Vegas. So
yes,
I've got a few friends who are stage hypnotists in Las Vegas. I'm learning stage hypnosis. It's fun. It's interesting. It gets me out of the clinical setting of the office. And what I'm doing is putting together a program to teach people stage hypnosis because I've been getting questions for about 20 years now about stage hypnosis. Can you teach me stage hypnosis? And at first, I didn't even consider it real. Then I realized it was real, but I didn't respect it. Now I realize it's real, and I respect that it has a place in education. So
I think it teaches people that there's a power there, so you can use it for good.
Right. And to all your listeners, when you see a person on stage and you think, oh, they're just acting. They go up on these stage hypnosis shows and they start singing like Madonna or talking into their shoe thinking it's a telephone. And you think, oh, they're just faking it. They're not faking it. They're actually people who are that suggestible, and stage hypnotists know how to pick them out of a crowd. And wouldn't it be nice if, someone comes into your office and through a suggestibility test that you can give them that they're highly suggestible? You save a lot of time. You don't have to spend a half hour inducing them into hypnosis. You spend 5 seconds inducing them into hypnosis, and then the rest of the time is spent reprogramming them. So there are valid techniques that these people know, the stage hypnotists know, that I can bring out that are helpful not only in entertainment but also in a clinical setting.
Yeah, and I just know too that usually people make fun at that their suggestibility, but the bottom line is that they can learn so fast compared to anybody else. Right. If they wanna study anything or working on their health or love, usually it's just really easy for them, and that's really kind of the cool thing about if you're a little more suggestible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, don't have to work quite as hard.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty natural. They're naturals.
They are. They have to be careful about watching TV because the TV will tell them what to do because they're so suggestible. It'll tell them what clothes to buy and what car to buy and all that. But also they can reprogram themselves easily if they just tune out from all of that TV stuff and advertising stuff and tune into what they really want and start giving themselves positive suggestions for change.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of on the countdown here, so I wanted to make sure that everybody has your website, stevegjones.com, and there's no dots in it, just stevegjones.com, and that's Steve, STEVEG Jones, JONES.com. And, and you have that millionaire CD.
Right. Program Your Inner Millionaire. It'll pop up right when you go to the site, and you can. That's a free recording. You just enter your email address and you download that right now, and you can play that on your iPod or whatever you want to play it on. You can burn it to a CD if you want, and then you also get a code by email immediately, which gives you 50% off of anything on the site that you want.
Cool. Yeah, very cool. So thank you, Steve, for being on the show. And you know, I've just enjoyed Steve so much. You know, we've had fun doing our little experiments, and I know that we'll do so much more. And you know, Millionaire Matchmaker was really fun for us. And thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you, Tara. Great talking with you, and thank you for what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, blessings, everyone.
Thank you for sharing your time with Tara Sutphen. Find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams by visiting her website at tarasutphen.com.